did it go? The trust, the fairness, the covenant we once believed held civilization together. A question echoes, not in one nation, not in one language, but across the entire species. Where is the love? We built systems, magnificent, intricate systems to organize society, economies to distribute value, governments to safeguard truth, institutions to protect the vulnerable from the powerful. But somewhere along the way, the architecture turned against its architects. Corruption became invisible. Power became untraceable. Wealth became untouchable. And the system, the very system built to serve humanity, began to serve only itself. This is not a crisis of money. This is a crisis of visibility. Because what cannot be seen cannot be questioned. What cannot be questioned cannot be held accountable. And what cannot be held accountable cannot and should not be trusted. Now, imagine something different. A world where every financial action, every transaction, every transfer, every allocation of public funds leaves a trace, not hidden behind privilege, not manipulated by proximity to power, not rewritten by those who profit from silence, but permanently recorded, immutable, verifiable, transparent, not as surveillance, but as civilization's immune system. A world where opacity is no longer a shield, but a confession. This is not theory. This is not a white paper gathering dust on a diplomat's desk. This is VisibleMoney. A global framework designed not to control wealth, but to illuminate it, where individuals, leaders, and institutions open their economic reality to verification, where assets are declared not as punishment, but as proof of legitimacy, where transactions are traceable, not to invade privacy, but to restore public faith, where audits are not secrets locked in filing cabinets, but a shared civic responsibility. Built on cryptographic certainty, secured through blockchain permanence, governed by mathematical truth, not political convenience. A system where data cannot be erased, cannot be doctored, cannot be denied, only revealed. To the presidents and prime ministers, to the finance ministers and central bankers, to every elected official who swore an oath to serve. This is your moment. Not to accumulate more control, but to demonstrate more courage. Transparency is no longer a moral luxury reserved for campaign speeches. It is a survival requirement. Because a world that cannot verify its leaders will eventually replace them. And to every citizen listening, this is your moment too. You have the right, the duty to demand one simple thing. Show us where the money goes. We are entering an era with no precedent, where governance must evolve beyond borders, where decisions must be driven by knowledge, not populism, where legitimacy is not inherited, but earned transparently every single day. A planetary standard, a unified architecture of accountability, a shared, incorruptible truth. Declare your assets, trace your transactions, prove your integrity. Not because the world demands perfection, but because it can no longer afford deception. This is bigger than money. This is bigger than politics. This is about redefining what value means. A future where wealth is not measured only in currency, but in trust, in integrity, in the dignity we afford to every human being. Yes, this system will challenge you. Yes, it will expose what was hidden. Yes, it will make the comfortable deeply uncomfortable. And yes, it will disrupt everything you thought was permanent. But ask yourself, honestly, what is the alternative? Another century of invisible corruption? Another generation of stolen futures? Another billion voices asking the same unanswered question: where is the love? To presidents, to policymakers, to philosophers and engineers, to activists and entrepreneurs, to every citizen of this fragile, extraordinary earth, this is your call to action. Explore it, challenge it, improve it, demand it from those who lead you, but do not ignore it. Because the future of humanity will not be built on what we hide, but on what we are finally brave enough to reveal. The system is coming. Whether by reform or by revolution, it is coming. The only question left is whether you will lead it or be remembered as what stood in its way.